Yes, indeed, folks. You are listening to Blue Please here on thecynicalbrit.com with myself, Total Biscuit. Ah, yes. Right, let's get on with the content, shall we? Sounds like a good plan. Sounds like a good idea. So, I have a story to tell you. You seem to like these kind of things. So, let me tell you a story. It's about an entitled casual. And this entitled casual is a member of our forum community. Or, it's unfair to call him entitled casual now, because it's entirely possible that he may change his ways. And indeed he has, by the looks of it. So, it's a story. This is a story all about how a casual's DPS got flipped, turned upside down. So, I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, while I tell you about the rogue with 1.5k DPS. Dun 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 dun. Da, 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 da. In West Ogrimmar, born and raised. In Heroics is where he spent most of his days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing all cool, and doing terrible DPS outside of the school, when a couple of raiders who were up to no good started making trouble in his neighborhood. He got in one little forum war, and his mum got scared and said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle onto cynicalbrit.com. He whispered for a mount, and when he came near, the license plate said your DPS is terrible, and there were dice in the mirror. If anything, I could say that this cab was rare, but I thought, nah, forget it. Let's learn to play." Something along those lines. I actually made that up on the spot. Yeah, I am a lyrical genius. What can I say? So, right. It's not exactly unfair to name this guy because he's on the forums. Yeah, this guy goes by the name of Doom Extreme. He's on the Cynical Brit forums. You can go read his thread. It's called Fix Your DPS. Got 175 replies there. Big thread. And this is a story of redemption, ladies and gentlemen. This is a story of a guy who started off badly and got into a bunch of fights with me and the forum community and then mended his ways for the good and betterment of everybody. Incredible. Absolutely credible. So, here we go. Let's have a look at this. So, here's his first post. You can go and have a look at it with me. Go read along with Total Biscuit. Yes, I should do a children's series. Read along with the terrible StarCraft 2 player. Once upon a time, there was a noob who knew absolutely nothing about StarCraft 2. Yeah, let's not do that. Actually, let's do that at some point. That would be a great idea. So, I've got to say this. The StarCraft 2 videos have been the most successful troll ever. You know why? Because of beta envy. There are people that don't have the beta that rage about not having the beta. Yep, the vast majority of you that don't have the beta are entirely sane individuals. They're like, oh, well, I'll get in on the next wave or I'll win a key or whatever. Hey, it's just a beta. Which, again, it is. It's just a beta. But there's the tiny minority of people that have gone absolutely psychotic over this beta. And if they see anyone ever post a video where they are not absolute 110% pro skills, mad skills. You know, we're talking like grubby level here. Then they will rage about this guy getting into the beta. We had one guy that said he was physically nauseous. I kid you not, physically nauseous because someone who is quite new to the game got into the beta before he did. It was the funniest thing. Oh, seriously, the amount of aneurysms these idiots must be having is hilarious. So, thanks, Blizzard, for perpetuating my troll videos. Very good. Anyway, let's get back on topic, shall we? Doom Extreme posts this. He says, "Now I'm annoyed. I've just been in my 7th heroic, and this is what's happened. We fight to the first boss, and just before we fight, they use the DPS add-on to tell who is doing how much DPS. They then proceed to kick those whose DPS is under 1.5k. Before they do so, they tell us, fix our DPS. Oh man, I'm so sick of it now. I seriously need TB to tell me whether this is true or false, because honestly, I've done so many heroic dungeons and we never wipe. Healer never even uses more than half his mana, and my DPS is 1.2k. I think this is ridiculous." Yes, ridiculous, which is, in fact, absolutely fantastic for making frilly undergarments. Ridiculous. Buy it today. "My friend has just stopped playing this game because he can never get into a group. I have to agree with him. It's just downright rude. But still, Total Biscuit, tell me, is it really a sin to do a heroic with less than 1.5k DPS? And the answer is absolutely it is. And you're terrible if you do that." So, he made the first mistake of asking me a question in a public forum. If you wanted to ask me a question, you could just email me the question. But he didn't. He posted it in a public forum, which indicates that he wants to discuss it with other members of the community. So, The community comes back and they dig up his armory profile and they start providing suggestions as to how to better himself. How to do better DPS, how to get everything fixed and sorted out, how not to suck as a player. They provide links to tank spot stuff, EJ stuff, videos, they provide optimal rotations, say what he should sort his gear out. He was using weapons in completely the wrong hands, his spec was all over the place, his rotation was absolutely broken, he had no idea about the priority system. Yeah, this is why he wasn't doing very good DPS. So for a couple of pages, my guys suggest things, and they do so in an incredibly polite manner, honestly. I'm really proud of my community for that. And he just gets more and more frustrated and eventually starts raging at the community. Yeah, he throws this back in their face and say that everyone's an elitist basement dweller, and I believe the quote was something along the lines of, yeah, this is your spec and your ideas. Where in this is the room to play my character? And guys try to explain to him that this idea of individuality within WoW only extends so far, and there comes a point when, in order to not suck, you have to be good at the game. Yeah? You have to work out what's going on, and you need to sort out your spec, sort out your rotation, and DPS or heal or tank in a certain manner. You can't just throw away the rules and start over again. But he didn't seem to get that, and a lot of raging went on, and I had a long Twitter conversation with this guy, and he got extremely angry with me, threw a bunch of insults, but hey, I correctly guessed that he was a teenager, and no offense to teenagers, but a lot of you tend to be pretty damn impetuous, yeah? Would that be unfair to say, my teenage listeners, that you don't really care all that much about other people's opinions, that perhaps you think yours is the most important? Well, that's fine. Everyone was like that. I was a total douchebag when I was a teenager. Now I'm just a different kind of douchebag, a more effective, more well-marketed douchebag. But back then, yeah, I was a complete knobhead, to be quite frank. So, I get it, really. I understand. I've been there before. I'm not trying to relate to you cool kids. Yeah, I'm down with it. Yo, and so forth. But I understand, really, that nobody really wants to be told how to play the game. But there comes a point where if you ask this kind of question, especially on the Blue Please forum of all places, it's like you ask this question on the EJ forum, what do you think's going to happen? Huh? They might provide you advice, but they're most likely just going to flame you. And you want to know why they're going to flame you? It's the same mistake that all entitled casuals make. Yeah? And that mistake is simply ignoring the resources in question and begging for help. Yeah? Assuming that everyone around them is a glorified walking help desk and that they must provide the information on demand because I pay my $15 a month, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, those are the kind of people we're dealing with here. Google is alien. Indeed, one must not besmirch oneself. No, absolutely not, no. Must not besmirch oneself by finding to Google myself. Oh, no, I have minions for that. Yes, quite. Yeah, it's pretty bad, unfortunately. I don't know why people get this idea into their heads where they believe that everyone's things should be handed to them on a silver damn platter. But it happens. People are like this. So, if you posted that kind of thing on the EJ forums, you would get absolutely reamed. If you posted it on the Tank Spot forums, you would probably get reamed. Post it MMO Champion, you'd probably get reamed, and their forum community isn't even all that great. Post it on the WoW forums, you might get some help, but you'll get other people flaming you just for not using the resources. You want to know who's going to flame you? Me. Me and people like me. Because we see Google, and we see EJ, and Wowhead, and WowWiki, and TankSpot, and all those other great sites that are really easy to find. The argument has to be made that there is a certain moral duty that good players have to share their knowledge. And you want to know why that is? It's because it benefits the human race as a whole. This point was made in the thread, and it's extremely valid. That if humankind kept all their developments and all their knowledge to themselves, we would never have gotten anywhere. Yeah? Someone made the example of, what if the first guys who came up with fire never shared it with anyone else? We'd be kind of screwed, am I right? Yes, we'd have all frozen to death. The species wouldn't have gotten anywhere. But the responsibility begins and ends at making that information accessible. We're talking about basic instruction and strategy and tactics and rotations and things like that. It's not keeping those secret, it's putting them in a place where people can read and learn. And those places exist. Peer-reviewed articles on Elitist Jerks, on TankSpot, on WowWiki, places like that give you all of this information. It's available at the touch of a button. That is the way of things. That's where it ends. You are under no responsibility at all to instruct a random guy in how to play the game. Why? Because it's time consuming, and time is an incredibly precious resource. It's like, if someone in a heroic was doing awful DPS, am I obliged to tell them how to fix it? No. Absolutely not. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kick him. I'm going to initiate a vote kick. I will tell them why. I will say, you are doing awful DPS and you need to fix it. I will do that. I will happily say that, but that is as far as I will go. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes tutoring this guy in basic mechanics. Why should I? It's my game time. Why should anyone? It's their free time. You know, you've got to applaud the people like EJ that actually put this stuff up and use their time to help other people. But you should not expect it to be waited on hand and foot. And this philosophy, this way of thinking is poison. And you want to know why it's poison? Because it extends far, far further than that. It does. Honestly, it really does. It extends way, way further than simply asking for help on a forum. These are the same kind of people that make demands of Blizzard based upon the fact that they pay $15 a month. I am a casual player. I have job, school, family, girlfriend, wife, grandparents, dog, whatever. Whatever excuse they've come up with for not being any good at the game. You've got your two kinds of casual players. You've got your actual casual players. I'm a casual player. I only play 7 hours a week. That's barely anything in comparison to others. It's funny how a lot of these entitled casuals like, well, I only play 20 hours a week and I've got no time to do anything or learn to get better. So Blizzard, please nerf the game. I play 7 hours a week. I'm vastly ahead of you. Please explain this. It's the same deal that we've got with people like Insidia. The big raiders are the ones that play the least because they are that damn good. They get stuff on farm status and they clear things faster. Obviously, during progression, that's a different matter entirely. But when they're on farm status, they get everything sorted out way faster than other people. The idea that a poop-socking player, as they call it, a player that plays an awful lot, is somehow some kind of inferior person is ridiculous. Players that don't play an awful lot are already catered to. There is a marked difference between people that don't play a lot and people who are just bad at the game and use not playing a lot as an excuse. Those people are poison to the community. They are poison to the game. Because if they ever gather in sufficient numbers, and Blizzard gets the metrics and believes that they have to cater to that group because if they don't, they're going to lose subscription money, then we get damaging things like Wrath of the Lich King. Wrath of the Lich King is a direct result of people sucking. No, really, it is. What's my justification? Direct quote from Blizzard. TBC raiding was too hard and not everyone got to do it. That's unfair, so we're going to nerf it. We're going to make easier raids. What happened? Wrath raids. Constant bouts of nerfs. Naxxramas. The defilement of Naxxramas. Quite ironic, really, considering that it was defiled to begin with. Things like TOC, an absolute joke. A lot of nerfs to Ice Crown. A lot of subpar bosses in there as well. Tier 9 for running heroics. Nonsense like that. Frost badges for killing a noob Rakan. Frost badges for killing a boss that is, quite frankly, the equivalent of a 5-man dungeon. The new one in VOA. Tier 10. Free Tier 10 right here. Just play the lotto. It's pretty bad, honestly. And all of this is the result of entitled casual whining. But here's the nice thing about it. This story has a happy ending. Because eventually, after battling and battling and battling, this guy decides, yes, he's going to listen. And my community got him to listen. And you know what happened? His DPS went up from 1.2k to 3.2k. And you know what? I don't want to kick someone out of my 5-man that does 3.2k. That is reasonable. 1.2, not reasonable. The problem is getting through to people like this, because you'll see it on the forums. People are indignant. They are on the internet, therefore their opinion is enshrined in solid gold, laced with platinum, and held upon a spire for all to see. That's their opinion. They believe it to be infallible, which is, of course, incredibly wrong. And a lot of people have this idea that their opinion can't be wrong. No. Absolutely not. Great quote was simply this. You are entitled to your own opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts. Your DPS sucks. Objective fact. You are doing it wrong. Objective fact. We can fix it if you let us, but we'd prefer that you go and fix it yourself by using the resources that are available to you. How difficult is it to get through to people? Well, as you can see, 18 pages is what it took to get through to one guy. Yeah, I'm glad that he started to listen, and I can start to respect him again as a person. And yeah, he's young, so I get the indignance, but there are a lot of adults that have exactly the same problem. They simply believe that they are right no matter what, and they've got to learn. Is it up to the players? No, I think the players have provided all they can at this point. The resources are out there. It's up to Blizzard to really push and set a standard that players have to get to, otherwise they don't get to see everything. That's the thing. If you give it to them, then there is no incentive to improve. You want one good reason why giving out free tier 9 is a terrible idea? Why giving out free frost badges is a terrible idea? Because players won't get better. They have no incentive to do so because they're being handed their stuff on a silver platter, and you never learn that way. My name is Total Biscuit. You are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. We'll be back after the break with a live interview. Oh yes, with Kevin Michaels Johnson. He's got some great stuff to tell us today. Here is some Daniel Tidwell. It's Ken's Heavy Hadouken. Enjoy.